Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, here we are for our AFL 2022 reviews. Of course, here we are for reviewing finals week 1. So we're going to be going over every game and a look ahead at the semi-finals. Before the semi-final preview, been plenty of news out of the AFL today, a new broadcast deal, and there's been some preliminary final fixtures as well. So we're going to run through that really quickly before we actually go ahead and start. So it'll be Geelong taking on the winner of the Melbourne-Brisbane game in the Friday night preliminary final. Before then, it'll be Sydney on the Saturday taking on the winner of this game, Collingwood versus Fremantle, Saturday twilight at the SCG. So there's some really big news regarding the prelim finals. Just a little look back to round 23. I'm not going to go over it, but this is just what we had. This is what set up the blueprint for finals week 1. That's exactly what happened. Including Collingwood's magnificent 1-point win over Carlton, which ended up sealing them a top 4 spot, and Carlton never made the 8. But here we go for finals week 1 review. It was a massive week. The biggest margin of the round was 22 points. Can you believe that? Let's go ahead and hop right into things. So Thursday night footy was at the Gabba this week, first day of September. The first day of September, it was a Thursday, and September started straight away with footy. Brisbane 16-10-106 beat Richmond 16-8-104, and this is really big for Brisbane's season. They play Melbourne Friday night, semi-final, loser goes home. They've got some really big footy ahead of Brisbane, but they did play pretty well to hang around with the Tigers. The Tigers are favourites, but actually one of the teams that could have really attacked the flag are out in the first week, and it was a really good contest. Richmond did lead for most of this game, but Brisbane were always good enough to just hang in there and stay in the contest. Of course, a controversial decision though on that Tom Lynch goal. Did it go through? Did it not? Over the post kind of stuff is what denied Richmond from winning. But really even first quarter, but Brisbane did kick the last 2 goals of that first quarter to come back. Of course, in the second quarter, it was a really exciting quarter, 4-5. Richmond led by 6 at the main break. Then in the third quarter, Richmond, they did get out to a game high 17, I think, point lead, something around there, 16, 17, I think it was 16 or 17 point lead before Brisbane kicked the next 1-2 goals. Richmond kicked 1, then Brisbane kicked 1 to make it a really even game at 3-quarter time. Then in the last quarter, Brisbane kicked the first, then it goes Richmond, then Brisbane, then Richmond. Richmond lead for most of that last quarter before then a massive goal to Joe Danaher in the dying stages wins the game for Brisbane in unbelievable scenes at the Gabba. Of course, Richmond are eliminated now out of the competition. They will no longer be playing finals footy this year. Brisbane, they go on to play Melbourne at the MCG, massive Friday night final, which there'll be a little bit more on that coming up later in this video, and a full preview on that going out tomorrow. So as I said, the biggest winning margin of the finals was 22 points, and it happened in this game, Friday night footy at the MCG between Melbourne and Sydney. Melbourne 10-9-69 get beaten by Sydney 14-7-91. Sydney, they've locked away a home preliminary final at the SCG. Watch out whether it be Fremantle or Collingwood that end up going there, because it will be tough. It will be very tough to beat the Swans at the SCG. And Melbourne, well, they just failed to beat Sydney due to the intensity that Sydney brought, the pressure, the tackling pressure. If you get the ball to ground and you make the Melbourne defenders pick the ball up on the grounds, then you can put pressure onto them, which is exactly what Sydney did. And they did that so well in their round 12 matchup where they beat the Demons by 12, Saturday night footy round 12. But they did it even better in this game. And again, to beat Melbourne, as I said, you've got to bring the intensity, you've got to bring the pressure. You can't just feed balls to Lever, May, Gawn that are in the defence. You've got to make sure the ball comes to ground, that you're forcing the Melbourne defenders to pick the ball up with their own hands, and then you can put pressure on them, or you can go and win the ball and then get the ball to grass inside 50, and then the small forwards go to work. So that's what Sydney did really well, and that's why they won this game. They definitely do deserve to do it, because they did just break out in that third quarter. They had the premiership quarter, the breakout quarter, the really good quarter, which ensured them to win this game. However, Melbourne, they've got a big Friday night semi-final coming up against Brisbane. But it was a very good game of footy, though. But yeah, that third quarter was really where the game was won for the Swans. The first quarter, Melbourne had a way better first quarter. In the second quarter, though, Sydney did wrangle momentum after Melbourne did get out to a pretty decent 16-point 16 point lead earlier on in that second quarter. Then the Swans, they managed to keep Melbourne goalless for a long time to bring the margin back. Melbourne just kicked 1 goal in that second quarter, which is really disappointing from a Melbourne point of view. And then in that third quarter, the D's, they start very well again, and they get out to about a 12-point lead. But then Sydney, from there on, they just do all the pressure. They bring all the pressure to make it probably about a 18-point game. No, sorry, a 12-point game at three-quarter time. And then in the last quarter, Melbourne kicked 4 behinds. The Swans kick a couple of goals just to clear themselves away and win by 22. But as I did just say before, you got to make sure the ball comes to ground. You can't be feeding May, Lever and Gawn back there. And that's what Sydney did really well, and that's why they won the game by 22. Now to Saturday twilight at the MCG, and it was a qualifier like no other. It was one for the ages. It was a thriller at the MCG. Edge of your seat kind of stuff. The Cats 11-12-78 beat the Pies 10-12-72. Another classic between these two sides. And, oh man, absolute classic. In the end, though, it did come down to a really big end goal by Max Holmes. And that was a massive goal that ended up sealing the Cats the deal, despite a really good Collingwood effort. And I feel like both sides played really well. Both sides were deserving to go through to the prelim final. However, the Cats, they did book their spot in the prelim final. Friday night prelim final to be for the Cats. But big game of footy. The Pies started off really well, keeping the Cats to just a goal in that first quarter. It's pretty much even at half-time. The Pies by a point after their only goal in that quarter came on the half-time siren. So, from a Collingwood point of view, quite a disappointing quarter. In the third quarter, though, that's where things start to get going a little bit. The Pies lead by 7 at the final change. Before, in the final quarter, it's really just up and down momentum, and it looked like for a minute it was going to go to overtime, extra time. Before, no, just another twist to the tail. Holmes kicks a big goal, and the Cats go on to win and book a prelim final. It's going to be hard for Collingwood to do it from here, because even if they do beat Fremantle, they'll have to go on to play Sydney at the SCG in a preliminary final. But it is still very doable for Collingwood, and they did put up a very good fight in this performance. But at the end, they did get probably beaten by the better side, because the Cats have had a really good run. And of course, the thing that nobody's been talking about, they take their streak to 14 games. They've won 14 games in a row of Geelong. That is absolutely crazy, and they are going very well. And yeah, I still think they're the flag favourites this year. Alright, now to the west. To Optus Stadium we go for the final elimination final, played late Saturday night between the Dockers and the Western Bulldogs. And Fremantle 11-7-73 beat the Western Bulldogs 8-12-60. The Dockers win by 13. They had to absolutely work to get this win, because the Dogs led by 41 earlier on in the second quarter. But we'll start from the start. The Dockers kept goalless in that first quarter, which was really disappointing. And the Dogs, they jumped out of the blocks. And it was like, 2016 Dogs, here we come. And the Dogs looked like they were 2016 Western Bulldogs. They were coming out, playing really well. And it looked like they were going to do that. They did that last year, elimination final to a grand final. And of course, they were so famous in 2016 for doing it that way, from 7th to win the grand final against the best side that year, as is in Sydney. So it looked like they were going to win and easily waltz their way through to a semi-final against Collingwood. But no, that was not the case. The story was told in a whole different way. It was a twist to this tale. 41 points was the margin right there in that second quarter. Before the Dockers, they kicked 4 late goals in that second quarter to just come and sniff their way back into the game. In the third quarter, they kicked 3 goals, which is a massive help, and the Dogs just lead by 1 singular goal after kicking 1 goal 5 in that third quarter. Inaccuracy probably did let them down in that third quarter, though, you got to say that. 1 goal 5, and then in the final quarter they kicked 1 goal 1, the Dogs, and the Dockers kicked 4 goals 2 to go on and win the game. And the Western Bulldogs are disappointed, because if you look, half-time differential in goals, the Dockers, they kicked 7 in that second half. The Dogs kicked 2 goals 6 to 7 goals 4. So you can see where the difference was in the end, and who was the classiest side in quarters 3 and 4. And Fremantle deserves to win. They go on to a semi to play Collingwood. Massive scenes at Optus Stadium. The Dockers get the job done after coming back from 41 points. So there is the week of finals all done and dusted. Brisbane by 2, the Swans by 22, the Cats by 6 and the Dockers by 13. Semi-finals, here we go. Melbourne versus Brisbane Friday night. Should be a cracking contest. Brisbane, they've got to overturn their hoodoo at the MCG. We know they've got a big hoodoo at the MCG. Haven't won there since 2014 and they need to win this game. If they win this game, Brisbane will be up and about. And of course, Melbourne would be knocked out. So the stakes are high for the winner. Sorry, the stakes are really high in this game. Of course, winner goes through to a prelim. Loser goes out of the competition. Two really quality sides going head to head. Saturday night, Collingwood versus Fremantle. I think this game's probably arguably the better one, but it's finals. You don't really know, and Collingwood versus Fremantle at the MCG is a massive game of footy as well. The winner in that goes to play Sydney at the SCG in a Saturday twilight preliminary final. Of course, the winner of the Melbourne and Brisbane game goes on to play Geelong Friday night MCG, and massive games coming up in the semi-finals. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Sending you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.